Hello, this is Wissam Sarka, and this is the last recording, the last summary of the book talking about IELTS exam speaking section. It's the last unit of the book, unit 14, and it's a summary of the 3 speaking tasks of IELTS exam. Okay. So it's unit 14. This is just a summary of last unit. It was comparing past with the present and using such expressions, important expressions. And here it is. It's about reading. And it will talk about the 3 tasks. So this is the first task, familiar discussion. So here it's questions about everyday subjects, like reading, for example. This is one example. Which of the following do you enjoy reading in your language? Maybe here the question is not exactly like that in the exam. They can ask you, like the second one, what kind of things do you enjoy reading in English? So these could be suggested things. You can say novels, plays, newspapers. Or for example, you talk about what kind of things do you like, enjoy reading in your language? You can talk about anything. These are just options, as I've told you: sports books, poetry, strip cartoons, magazines, popular science books. So all of these could be options you talk about. It's not enough to say novels. It's not enough to say plays. Again, in this kind of questions, at least say why. Plays, as an example, because the language is usually very beautiful in plays, and they are not as long as the novels, so I can finish reading them in a shorter time, and I can still get a lot of ideas from them. As an example, I love poetry, and my favorite poet, for example, is blah, blah, blah. You can mention something like that, or say why you love poetry. So this is the kind of questions. You don't need to say a lot, but also don't say just one word. What kinds of things do you enjoy reading in English now? They can ask you about your language and about English. Usually, when you talk IELTS exam, IELTS should not be your native language. You should have another language. This is the norm anyway. So you can say, I enjoy reading magazines in English because I can get the news, recent news, such things. You can mention anyway, anything. Again, don't say just one word and stop. Do you need peace and quiet to be able? Oh, sorry, there is a question before. Are you someone who can read anywhere, or do you have a favorite place? So, some people only can read maybe in a park or maybe in their beds. Like me, I prefer reading in bed. Or for example, you need to read in the library where it is a nice place. So you can say that and you say why. For example, I prefer to read in bed because I feel very relaxed and it's something I like to do reading before I sleep. This could be an answer. Do you need peace and quiet to be able to read, or can you concentrate even in noisy situations? So here you talk about yourself. You can say, I need peace and quiet. I do need peace and quiet because reading is something I have to concentrate while I'm doing. If there are children around me or the TV is on or I'm in transportation, I find it difficult to read. You can say that. Or you can say, for me, it's okay to read everywhere because I forget about everything around me and I concentrate in what I'm reading. Both of them are possible answers. So this is task 1. You don't need to say much. We come to the second task. Here we have 2 examples. As we talked about it before, as we said before, here you see the question and you have 1 minute to take notes and 2 minutes to speak about it. Let's take one example here. Describe a book you have enjoyed reading. You should say what the book was and who it was written by, what it was about, when and where you read it, and explain what you liked about it. Okay. I can give an example about a book I like. For example, I can say al-Qura, which is a book by Kawakibi. So I should say who written it, Abdurrahman al-Kawakibi. He wrote it about 100 years ago. What is it is about? It is about why Muslim nation is suffering, why it's not developed. Muslim countries are not developed one. What's the problem here? And it's like a meeting between scholars who meet in Mecca, that's Qura, in Mecca, and they try to discuss what's the reason behind that. I read it, I guess, about 10 years ago. I read it in Mecca, no, in Medina, in fact. I read it in the library of Medina Munawwara, in the Haram there, Masjid Nabawi. And it was a nice place to read anyway. So I read in Medina, and I read it about 10 years ago. What I liked about it is just you feel it's like real. You feel that really this is someone is writing something real happening, people discussing from different countries the reasons, and they brought very interesting ideas. I guess it's really thought-provoking, this book, and I wish it can be translated to many languages. I don't think it's available in English, unfortunately. So shortly, this is what I can say about it. Okay, I can add more adjectives. It's an interesting, it's got an interesting plot and a lot of informative content. I can just use more adjectives to make my description better. So this is the second task. I have to describe. Maybe someone would ask me, is there anything you didn't like about the book? Because there are follow-up questions in this exam. So I can say, yes, I didn't like the last part of the book. It was mostly too much about, let's say, talking about one kind of people, let's say, at that time. It's kind of discrimination, maybe, or it's talking about discrimination somehow. I didn't like the last part of the book anyway. I liked the first part of it much better. Okay. So this is the third topic now, the third part, sorry, the third kind of questions which is about abstract ideas. Let's see what you mean by abstract ideas again. The importance of reading. How important is it for young children to learn to read? Okay. You can talk about idea that is just like a key for knowledge, reading. If you can't read, it means there is a lot of information that you can't get, you can't access because you can't read. And it's important and difficult at the same time. Everything when you start anything, it should be somehow difficult, but later it becomes an enjoyable process. So I can say that. What disadvantages are there for adults who cannot read? Okay, I guess they will suffer a lot. They will have difficulty in dealing with technology, with transportation, even maybe they would have some legal issues. We can say that because they can't read, so anyone can deceive them. They will not be safe. I can say that. These are other examples. Reading for enjoyment. How can children be encouraged to read for enjoyment? It means enjoyment, it means for fun, not only for school and for school assignments and for exams. So this is an important idea. How can we encourage them? We can mention ideas like always mention reading as a prize by itself. It's not if you read, I will give you a present. No, if you behave well, I give you a book. It's different. So this approach, I can mention like a personal story. I remember my mother said, if you get good marks, I will bring you some stories. So that pushed me to like reading indirectly. So reading itself is a prize by itself. It's not something you have to do to get some sweets or a bike or I don't know what. This could be one way. How is reading books different from watching television or playing computer games? Again, it's not an easy question, but you can say, here you have to use your imagination, you have to visualize things. You can build on that and add more information. The future of reading. Do you think that reading will become a more or less important ability in the future? You can say it will become more. Or, for example, my prediction is that, we learned before how to talk about future. My prediction is that reading will become more important, or my prediction is that reading will become less important and people will depend more on YouTube and such things. I can mention whatever I want, but I should support with examples or with explanations. Do you think a time will come when people get all factual information from the internet? Maybe I get this question in the exam, and I can say maybe this question is outdated because already people are using the internet to get factual information, maybe all factual information. Few people now go to print books and read them because internet or ebooks are easier to let's read and highlight important information and copy and paste whatever you need, and to search, Control F, and you can find whatever you want. I can just mention that. So this is a short summary of the 3 tasks of IELTS exam. I hope you find it useful, and thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and best wishes.